Hello, so if you think that I was too late with iBasso DC04 review, there is just one another piece of gear that I'm even more late with review, and of course it's iBasso DX300. Actually, if I remember right, this player was announced in September 2020, so just 3 more months and I'd be 1 year late. But it was announced in September, but released closer to New Year and started appearing somewhere in January or late February. So I'm just like 5 months late or so. Not big issue, of course. I'm kidding. Of course, unfortunately, customs issues and delivery issues multiplied by local let's name them traditions of doing business with government caused a big delay, but that was worth the wait. And of course, DX300 will remain a good player for quite a long time because iBasso released a really future-proof device. They updated almost all issues, they solved all issues, they updated all stuff that was necessary to update in their DX220, and they released one. Actually, I think you already know that one of the best players available now. And the most surprising thing here is that they decided to price it not at other flagships level. They want just $1,200 for it. Of course, it's still a huge pile of money, but comparing with $1,800 other companies ask, or even 3.5 for real flagships, top of the line, 1.2 thousand, it's a pretty, let's name it, modest price or reliable. I'm not sure how to say about that, but in terms of features, they packed it with everything you can imagine. Add here nice design, great sound, so you get it. Device built with Snapdragon 660, it has 6 gigabytes of RAM and 122 gigabytes of built-in flash memory, so plenty of storage for everything and nice system on chip to run everything smoothly. It uses Android 9 that will give it at least few years of not being outdated with modern streaming services and so on. It's really powerful, built-in amplifier delivers more than 1 watt for 32 ohms load, and it has a lot of other interesting features. But let's have a closer look. Device came in a traditional box by iBasso. We've seen it before a few times. Yeah, you can see there is two versions, blue and the black one you can select. If you remove this silver part, you're getting access to the internal box, and this time they made it a bit different. It opens folding up and you get access to this device. Let's put it aside. Let's postpone this joy of getting it. I was waiting for it for half a year, so, but of course I spent some time with it already. You'll also get in the accessory set a pretty nice case if you'll be agile enough to put it out. So let's put it aside for a while, and if I remember right, it's everything in this box, so carefully not to knock anything over. Box with accessories, as usual, requires a bit of effort to be opened without much damage. So you'll get warranty card, manual, set of screen protectors, and actually it's even not regular film, it feels like glass for the screen. I will try to glue it a bit later, of course, as usual, and as usual most probably I will fail with that. You'll get coaxial adapter and iBasso burn-in load. Let me probably show it closer. So here they are. iBasso have their own line of accessories that looks pretty solid. So you just plug it to 2.5mm out and let it play for the burn-in process. Actually, I don't believe in players burn-in, so I'm a bit skeptical here, but iBasso recommends that. And USB A to USB Type-C cable, so pretty good cable too. As you can see, accessory set is nice and pretty reliable. And here is player itself, but I will pause this video to clean up the table. DX300 is big. It's really big, but as an excuse I need to mention that almost the whole front panel occupies big 6.5 inches screen with Full HD resolution, so it's the biggest and best screen available in the player's world. So you can see that in terms of size it's really big, and Hibi R8 is a bit thicker but shorter, and width is about the same. And Fios M15, which is not small by itself, is shorter by any measure. But it looks nice, it feels nice, and thanks to the pretty slim shell, it feels really solid. Let's have a closer look. I will remove case. So I applied the protective glass, and this time I did it better than all previous times. So it's made of aluminium, and iBasso implemented pretty complicated shapes and nice materials design, so you know it's player that looks on par with modern smartphones, at least for me. Of course it's thicker because inside they'll have to fit a lot of stuff, but more on that a bit later. On the left side here is a micro SD slot. On the top side it's USB for charging and coaxial output. On the right side here is this knob. A lot of people discussed about it in the internet. There were a lot of anger, hate and so on. But for me it looks original and fancy, and I don't find that as an issue, but it depends. It can be rotated and click, and actually here used good encoder and button because it feels really solid with well-defined clicks, with good amount of force need to apply to rotate it, and 3 slim buttons without any captions. When you peel this additional layer, there won't be captions, so it depends on your preferences. You can select which one will be next track, which one will be previous in the settings. High-res audio sticker, actually it looks useless here. And on the bottom there are replaceable amplifiers module. And so iBasso keeps the idea of replaceable models, but this time they implemented it in a bit another way. You'll have to unscrew 2 screws, and then you remove this part, and you'll remove the PCB with amplifier inside. It's a bit less protected than previous models, and of course you'll lose all the investments in the previous models, but of course new design totally worth that. It's just unavoidable to do. And back panel, I don't know, it's some kind of glass. It feels really smooth, it's curved, and it's superb. It gathers fingerprints, of course, but it's the price you pay for that great design. So it's a bit big, even in my hands, but still I think it's great, so I like the design. Here is the screen, and actually it's gorgeous, it's magnificent, it's great. It has nice viewing angles, it has good resolution, it's clean, crisp, big, bright, with good amount of brightness to be visible even under the bright sunlight, and all that other important stuff is done nicely. It responds well to touches, and what's more important here, iBasso managed to implement the proper edge-to-edge experience. You can see bezels are very narrow from the three sides, a bit bigger on the bottom, but still it's almost edge-to-edge. I'm not sure about flagships, but even in middle segment smartphones, this screen would look really natural. Big, nice, impressive. I think a lot of people just bought this player after trying the screen. And what's more important, it's that overall UX matches the screen, thanks to a lot of RAM and thanks to modern chipset. It's fluid, it has fluid interface, it runs smoothly and does everything well. In terms of firmware, it's Android 9 with few additions. First addition, it's additional extra controls here. And brightness is regular, Bluetooth, auto rotate, output, you can select headphones, output and line out, you can select digital filters, gain, airplane mode, take screenshot, and if you pay attention here, there are two figures with battery status. First one is analog battery and second one, go back, and the second one is digital battery. It has two separate batteries as it was done in 220 Max, but here they charge simultaneously using quick charge through USB-C. It's more convenient, and separate batteries means separate power, means more clean signal, less interference and better sound. Digital battery is 4000 mAh per hour, analog battery is 2000 mAh per hour. You can understand who is main consumer here. And it will give you for about 11 hours of work in Android mode at average, sometimes more, and about 12 hours in the Mango mode. So also there are additional stuff in settings, of course, as you can probably expect. Here it is. So network and the internet is traditional, connected device also, apps and notifications, battery, display. So here you can select brightness level, night light, where is it? Indicator, you can, there is actually, I forgot to mention, there is a small indicator line here. I will show it later when I'll start playing some music. It shows the resolution of files playing now and charging. You can turn it off if you don't like. So accidentally tapping parts of screen, it's not convenient to control player when you look through the camera. And audio is main setting, so volume, gain, output mode and digital filter. You can select 4 digital filters or separate non-oversampling mode if you want to get the purity, maximum purity. And should the volume be controlled when screen is off. And also here is audio button control, so you can select are they working on the locked screen and which schema you like, which track should be previous, which should be next. Actually, I think that this one is previous, this one is next, so for me this option is more natural. And of course main soul of the player is Mango player, bit reworked for this bright nice screen. Here is media library. I didn't scan media library yet, but you can select all music, albums, artists, genres now playing and playlists. You can even customize this navigation bar. You can select view, order, sort and other stuff, so it's highly customizable. And here is browser, so we can browse SD card. So rotates, scrolls really fast and smoothly. And as usual there is mass operation and so on. Here is search, but we need to scan media library before. And settings, so here you can activate gateless playback. I still have no idea why someone could wish to turn gateless off. Gain, there are 3 levels of gain, pretty good idea when you have a powerful amplifier to implement 3 gains. One for sensitive in-ear monitors, one for the most power-hungry load, and middle one for like full-size headphones but not too tough to drive. Play mode, folder play, equalizer. They have graphic equalizer, so you can just select some equalization, or you can turn on parametric equalizer, and in the parametric equalizer mode you can select the filter and frequency, gain on this frequency, so lot of tweaking options as usual, lot of time to spend and to figure out. So we turn it on and we can select gain and frequency where it applies. So, and filter 1, turn it on, select it, and we can select filter type. So a lot of stuff to experiment, but they have nice clean visualization what this filters does. So if you like tweaking sound, it's of course your dream came true. So a lot of stuff to tweak and to change in order to achieve the sound you'd like. Left-right balance, digital filter. Of course they could use some more information than D1, D2 and so on, but not a big issue here. Scan media library, but I will take it offline because it will take some time. And advanced settings, so pause when headphones unplugged. Indicator, you can turn it on and off. USB digital tonal converter mode, Bluetooth digital tonal converter mode, display settings, sleep timer and system info. So you can see that all modern features are present. Actually, let me select some. King Crimson is a good choice. So here is big album display, track navigation, information. You can see additional information, add to playlist and so on. And you can select repeat, random, order and so on. And here is LED indicator. I'm not sure is it visible, but it has a light green color, and actually I like that it's not bright. It's just small and just shows lightly what is current resolution. And if you don't need Android, you can boot up to Mango mode. It's a pure player, and it's not like pure mode in other dubs where it's just a regular player running over Android without access to launcher. For the iBasso Mango mode, it's separate operation system without additional Android services, just basic stuff requires to play music. So iBasso spent a lot of resources in doing that, and they updated Mango mode even further. If you remember, for example, DX320, Mango mode and Android player, also called Mango, was not on par because Mango mode was lacking some of features, and here they've added some of them. And UX is close to regular one. Media library is a bit less fancy, but also you can browse by genres, artists and playlists and other stuff. And here are the settings. So gateless, you can turn on and off gain, 3 levels here too. Here is the medium. Output, play mode, balance, equalizer, and equalizer they actually how to turn it. Oh, you have to press on to get access. It looks a bit fancier, but we need to reset it. Let's turn it off for now. Digital filter and advanced digital tonal converter, media scan, languages, display, power management, system info, and media transfer protocol if you need to access to your library without reboot. And then we can boot back to Android mode, so you'll get also 2 additional operation systems instead of 1 Android. You can select if you need streaming or not, if you need pure music or not. So, and actually Mango mode does its job here pretty okay. It saves about 1 hour of battery lifetime. It can be also important in many cases here. Anyway, in terms of firmware, pretty reliable, pretty stable, and works well thanks to a nice chipset and plenty of memory. And of course about the sound, as I said before, I didn't burn them in. I tried burning in DX200, if I remember right, I didn't got any changes. So DX220 I didn't burn in, but I actively used it for quite a long time and there were no changes in sound, so I don't think DX300 will change something with this process. I listened to it about 60 hours and I didn't find any traces, but if some changes will occur after a long time, I will write the comment to this video, but I really doubt about that. Let's have some earphones on the table, and for the illustration purposes I decided to show this setup the way probably iBasso wanted it to be, because I'm pretty sure that IT07 were created to suit each other, not only in terms of design, in terms of some exterior stuff, but also in terms of sound. But of course, for critical listening I used more expensive models by Noble Audio and by Unique Melody, but IT07 also of course performs great with DX300, but more on headphones and load later. In terms of sound, it's pretty hard to describe it because it's natural, it's technical, dynamic, lively, emotional, and all that positive stuff that you can think of. iBasso drew the conclusions from the previous models. DX200 was pretty monitoring and focused on the micro detalization. For DX220 they reduced that focus on the micro details, added a bit more weight, and it was warmly appreciated by market. Then they did a lot of experiments with different amplifiers, and AMP8 and AMP7 were warmly welcomed by the market, and iBasso understood what audience needs, and basically this sound is built on the foundation of DX220 with AMP8, but with a big influence of DX220 Max. So it's dynamic with proper balance, but at the same time it's less focused on the micro detalization, and it's a bit more highlighting that small details, and you know, for me it's a good thing because it sounds more natural and more organic. It's the most organic and musical sounding player in iBasso lineup. But that doesn't mean that it's typical sound that is called musical or warm, analog or something like that. No, it's still natural, it's still technical, but that technicality is properly distributed and it doesn't highlight it when it's not necessary. But let's probably talk about everything step by step. So, bass goes deep, it's controlled well, and that's something you can expect from the sophisticated amplification and all that effort that iBasso spent tuning sound here. 4 digital tonal converters, FPGA to control them, and that means that you definitely should achieve something good. A separately designed amplifier. Actually, AMP12 model is already available, but I didn't test it. Hope I will do it in some near future. Probably it will be better as usual. iBasso is good with that. And currently I forgot to say that AMP11 has all 3 outputs, 3.5mm Pentacon and 2.5mm balanced out. Actually 2.5mm looks like some poor relative here. comparing with fancy 3.5 and Pentagon 1. So bass is controlled well, it has good impact, it's punchy, detailed, it's tight. It's not adding low frequencies, no, it's not the player for those who need mighty bass, it just plays low frequencies as they are present, and they will give you nice impact, nice weight, what is present in record, it will deliver. It plays absolutely perfectly everything you give it, starting with electronic music and ending with some tiny subtle nuances of double bass or some fortepiano or something like that. So absolutely effortless control of low frequencies, and bass stays in place. Just keep in mind that it's not a player that will try to highlight anything or to hide anything. It's not for those who need super tight and punchy bass. If bass is recorded this way, it will deliver it, but it won't make it drier. And it's not a player for those who need like warmer, more weightier, low frequencies. If they are present in record this way, they will be played, but not more than that. And as first example, I selected Daft Punk, Motherboard, nice tune, bit relaxed, so let me add brightness a little bit to be more visible. Actually, if I do it this way, if I'll start playback and turn screen on, off, I'm not sure, will you see this small green indicator? Pretty good. I like that it's not bright. I even don't want to turn it off. So, nice impactful bass and good contrast with mid frequencies and treble combined with spacious imaginary stage. Sounds nice and engaging. And second example of low frequencies, it's the most famous bass line in the history of rock music. Pink Floyd, Money, not really accented low frequencies, but requires some good performance, and bass guitar here sounds really lively and really engaging and with a lot of nuances. Of course, I could select something like Musica Nuda, Casey Abrams or something like that, but it would be too trivial for such player, so I selected a bit more complicated examples. Mid frequencies are also on the natural side, it's not trying to highlight them, to hide something. It has good detalization, but it's not as dry as previous generations of iBasso. It has a bit more weight on the mids, and it gives better weight for instruments, more body for the vocal, really good with body for voices, especially with male ones, but female voices also sounds clean and crisp and really airy, so you know, it's hard to describe it because it's just technical and natural and good, and it doesn't have any features, but it's not in bad meaning, because usually like no features it means that it's bad, but it just clean and crisp and it just delivers music to you. And the imaginary stage is really big, close to flagship levels, so in terms of depth layering, in terms of width separation, everything is done really nicely here and on the really good level, so effortless building of 3D stage. All instruments sounding natural, but of course it's critical for the quality of records because it's not trying to hide anything. It won't highlight issues, but it will show them without any remorse, so it's just the player for the properly recorded stuff. And as a first example for the mid frequencies, what actually I got, yes, it's Robert Plant, Morning Dew. I really like Dreamland. Actually, when Robert Plant released this album, I was on his concert in Kiev. It was my first big concert of a huge star I visited, and I'm still impressed. That's why I like this album especially. And Morning Dew, it's Plant's vocal, good accompaniment, lot of instruments, so all that stuff requires nice technical mids and good emotions, and this player just delivers it in the purest way. And second example, a bit of pop heavy metal, Ghost, Dance Macabre, nice tight impactful drums, good distorted guitars, nice vocals, so it renders metal genres too. Actually, brutal genres of metal it delivers even better because it doesn't oversaturate them with aggression or something like that. So it's a bit subjective, but I like its performance here. And treble always was a strong side of iBasso. They a bit reduced focus on the sharpness. It's a bit less sharp comparing with previous generations, and that made treble sounding more natural, with really good attacks and decays, nice, very nice layering, close to flagship level here too, and that gives you all that small nuances, all that tiny overtones, slight decays, and all that other rich audiophilic stuff. And instrument sounding natural, basically, you know, treble is just the way it should be, but all parts of sound here is just the way it should be. And you know, actually for me it's hard to imagine what they did with amp 12, because amp 11 just do what it's necessary. And first example, it's David Gilmour, Beauty. Great example that in Pink Floyd, Gilmour was about the music, and his eternal opponent was about all about sarcasm, lyrics, and other parts of the Pink Floyd music. But Gilmour, it's always interesting experiments with tunes, with instruments, and his solo albums a good example. And Beauty, just nice, good melody with a lot of instruments, great percussions, so it delivers nicely, it sounds greatly, and this player is just what's required for this track. And second example, John Zorn, Saigon pickup. So like it's 5 minutes of everything that exists in music in one short jazz track. Fast moments, slow improvisations, and so on and so forth. And also a lot of stuff goes here high to the treble area, and this player delivers it nicely, and it sounds really good. So, natural technical player that made a slight step from pure technicality to more musical sound comparing with previous generations. Speaking about the load, it's absolutely universal, so even super sensitive in-ear monitors on the low gain have a low level of noise, and many power-hungry cans will be driven to the full potential from the balanced output on the high gain, so universal in this aspect too, so nice. You know, maybe I'm overpraising it, but if it's good, and I can't find any bad sides here. Maybe it's the only bad side is that it doesn't have any coloration, but it's for us audiophiles, for those who need the purest forms of sound. And about the compressions, I'll try to do that briefly because I am planning separate video with comparison of players of this segment, and current video is already too long, so it's just few brief facts and notes. iBasso DX320, comparing stock with stock, 220 is a bit more focused on the micro contrast and sounds a bit drier and a bit less natural than this one, and DX300 offers a bit more extended and bit more refined treble. And bit tighter low frequencies, difference isn't big, but it's noticeable in many aspects. And you know, in this case probably I can suggest upgrading, at least subjectively, because DX300 delivers a lot of good features in sound, but a lot of good features besides that. But let's focus on the sound. I will skip non-sonic features for other players. DX220 Max, it's still experimental, limited version, it's still unique player. It's better in terms of dynamics, and actually it's probably the best player in terms of dynamics. But they share a lot of in common, so this one is really good in dynamics too, but Max is even better, and it's a bit more forward and a bit more emotional, a bit more highlighting that. FIO M15 a bit more weighty with a bit less treble for me, but more tighter on mids and bass, and with a bit of added weight and a bit more on the warmer side. I'm always saying bit because difference isn't huge, but this one is more natural, and for me it sounds bit more natural. And I'm pretty sure that FIO will update M15 in some near future. They have some players in plans. Kane's N6 Mark II, it's more emotional, more highlighting emotions, more fun sounding, and this one is on the natural side of things, so difference is pretty obvious and clear here. I really admire how Kane managed to revitalize the interest to their model, releasing R2R model. We'll see how it performs. What else we've got? Aston Kern Can Alpha. Can Alpha, a bit more focus on the micro detalization, but with a slight liquid mid coloration, typical for Aston Kern. So if you like Aston Kern sound, it will be your choice, and if you don't, it could be your option. Shanling M8. Shanling M8 is player for those who like highlighted dynamics, for those who like dynamics that is forward and with a bit of added. While DX220 Max and this one are good, but only when it's present in records, Shanling is adding a bit more and making sound more fun sounding. And Hybe R8, bit highlighting tightness of bass and bit more highlighting crispness on the treble with a bit of added energy on the treble comparing to this one. But difference isn't huge actually in terms of sound, but I like mids here a bit more. So let's probably finish with this review. It's already a bit too long. I need to start work on the extended video, and I must admit that DX300 was worth the wait. Thank you for listening, thank you for your attention, and of course have a great day.